Good evening, everyone. Straight here from the CEO World Records studio, I am with Erkan, Fere today, representing Finland. So, Erkan, without further ado, why have you joined this initiative and tell us where you are in the world, what you do, and why you do what you do? Many questions.
Very good. Thank you very much. I joined this because I found what you're doing at the moment is very interesting. The framework that you have described is very interesting, and I think it's very important issues that we're talking about at the moment. I live in the southern Finland, and I work in a company called Puuha Group Oy, which is a very interesting company in many ways. We are working with, let's say, we're providing the means and creating opportunities for healthy, active life for from very small children to all the way to senior citizens and all ages and genders in between. That's what I'm doing. I'm running the company here.
I see. And Erkan, why you've chosen to be in this industry and literally work with that type of impact? Was there maybe some trends or events in your life that kind of led you to that decision? Because that industry
I
is not an easy industry, right? And it requires
No,
paradigm shifting. So, yeah, what's your why?
I've worked in several different industries through my working career, mainly in retail. And about a year and a half ago, I was approached by the owner of this company, and there's been some challenging times. And the we talked about the business and we talked about the industry where it is, and I find this very interesting because it's we're talking about good things in life. So creating activities for children, adults,
Mm.
teenagers, senior citizens, looking after better life, healthier choices, and I just found that very interesting. We are living in a very uh, important time in regarding to people's choices when it comes to their lives. We talk about a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people, especially young people, having less and less physical education or being less active and more stuck in the compute with their computers or mobile phones and people elderly people being less active as well and missing some of their social connections and being separated and looking at the back a couple of years ago when the world was hit by surprise by COVID-19, and that made a big difference on people's behavior altogether. And we
Mm.
were pretty much isolated, every one of us. And now today, what we would like to see is that from the very beginning, from the early stages, people should be enhanced by developing their cognitive skills, enjoy more of the company of their peers, and having more social impact on everyday life, but especially taking good care of themselves all throughout their life. And if we're looking at the
Mm-hmm.
elderly people, especially, there are the demographics are in the way that there are more and more elderly people there that the society needs to take care of. And gradually, if we don't activate these people, they are starting to deteriorate in their daily operations and movements. And so I look at this as a really, how would I say, environment industry where we're working with good things in life. But you're right, it is a difficult industry. It's very seasonal as well because we're talking about
Mm-hmm.
outdoor playground or outdoor fitness experiences.
Mm-hmm. I I had a conversation this week with another CEO who is representing Portugal in this endeavor, and it just resonates with me so much what you are speaking because he raised the question to me at the end of the interview, saying that Laura, imagine you are 80 plus years, you are lonely, and then you are actually having activities where you step in with other people who maybe once a week, only once a week you get to be called your name by someone else, because you are just, like isolated as an adult lady.
Exactly.
So I believe
Yeah.
what you do, guys, is just amazing. Could you tell us more than Erkan? How is then the world better off because your company, the one you are representing today, is in it?
Well, I think what we're doing at the moment is not only are we creating these opportunities to people to be more active in their life, to tackle the deterioration of tissues or joints, but we're also creating social opportunities for people to meet and communicate. But I think the most important is really that we are all together in this. So whatever we do, we have communities and people working together, exercising together, whatever they do. Let's not get isolated. That's the one thing. The other thing is how we do it. We've taken a rather holistic approach to sustainability when we do this. I mean, from
Mm-hmm.
designing the playgrounds, from a manufacturing point of view, from the logistics, from from everything involved in the manufacturing process to also to the energy that we consume in creating and building the playgrounds or fitness equipment.
I see. And I wonder if we like truly could loosen ourselves, and truly think audaciously big. And like how would you want to see this industry uh, within 5 years time? What would be the difference? I mean, and what could be that audaciously, like really radically big difference from where we are right now in 5 years time?
Well, in a perfect world, what I'd like to create is a model where we have the children playing on the outdoors, the parents exercising next door, and the grandparents there together as well, spending all time together. I think that would be the
Amazing.
perfect world. That's what I would like to see, and that's
I see.
globally.
Yeah, that's such a wonderful vision. I can totally see that. And Erkan, could you elaborate with us more? What does it look like to work at your place? Why people are joining the company? And it's just that my assumption would be that it's not for everyone to work in that type of industry because it requires certain human skills and empathy and etc. to be in. Why people are joining you?
It comes to the culture pretty much in the company. Within the company. We're not a very big company, but we're a significant player in the market, in the domestic market. We have people from. I mean, we have our sales team, we have the manufacturing, the designing team, the management with the financial side, and everybody's working more or less together. We have equal opportunities in the company. About 50% of the staff are female, male. The management group is 50-50.
Mm-hmm.
Just last year, we did internal process training with all the staff members working from the factory floor to the top management, everybody putting in about 900 hours of work together in groups.
Wow.
And I think that was something that we achieved. Was there a sort of a shift in the way of thinking and working together?
Mm-hmm.
And I see
Mm-hmm.
that on every day on our daily operations. And I think that I'm not the only one that can say that we're very happy in the morning when we go to the office and start working. It's a great community. I think we're just
Oh,
one very good cooperational community.
I love the way you call it community. It just it mirrors so much what you just spoke before, that vision, like the big one where it's three generations. Yeah, and your clients today, it's a community, and then you call your company like that. That's something it resonated with me. And let's go deeper into you as a human and a leader. I wonder, like, where and when you feel that you are lonely, in certain decision making moments, or in certain phases of business kind of development. Could you elaborate about that, Erkan? Where and when do you feel lonely, and what do you do when you feel like that?
A very wise person once told me, and I think this is true. He said he was a CEO of a public company. He says that sometimes the CEO, the position of the CEO, is the loneliest position that can be. And it's true. Sometimes it is.
Mhm.
But I have good staff members that I can give a call. I mean, there are some certain decisions that the CEO has to make. And here it comes to the role of CEO, maybe, or person running the company. I think majority of the day goes into problem solving or decision making. And I strongly believe that if your hit rate in making good decisions is 9 out of 10, then you're performing. But you can't forget that that one not so great decision that you may have made, you have to learn from that and make sure you don't repeat that. And that, when it comes to working together with the board,
Mm-hmm.
the owners or your colleagues, and especially with the board as a springboard as well. So you're discussing some strategic issues. You get feedback from there, or you talk with your colleagues about daily operations, and you get the feedback, and you're bouncing the ideas back and forth, and that's how we actually make the best decisions.
I totally get that. It is a lonely position sometimes, especially I can just digest it through me and through what I see around, especially when we need to make certain like big frog leaping turns with the business, and we are not yet clear, like internally aligned with is that right? And we are just in this moment of kind of digesting. Then that loneliness kicks in, and in a way, yeah, one of the CEOs said that maybe it is even a good thing to feel that moment before we communicate, to others, because we still have to chew it ourselves. And I
Exactly.
wonder, since the company isn't that big, and I know that you've joined. You mentioned you've joined not recently. Was it recently, Erkan?
A year and a
The
half
com
ago.
A year and a half ago. So, what are you
Yes.
aware of, like right now? What you were not aware of when you joined? What type of insights and changes you even maybe discovered within yourself um, through that year and a half?
Well, to start with, the again, maybe it comes to the role of a CEO. The
Mm-hmm.
learning curve has to be cut pretty short when you join a new company. You don't really have much time to learn, but you have to ask a lot of questions. And it may be annoying for some people to be kept asking the question without you. If you don't do that, you don't learn, you don't get inside the company, you don't understand what's happening in the business. I need to learn things from all the fields of the company, whether it's from manufacturing, or whether it's from the sales, or whether it's from installments of equipment. And I think that's you have to be curious, and you have to want to learn, and have the ability to uh, to appreciate the fact that you don't know everything, and that's the
Mm-hmm.
only way to approach any new situation. And I think the best reward is when you're getting that feedback and you start learning and understanding the business. And again, as I said, join a company, you don't have much time, so you need to digest a lot of information, and you start making decisions. And yeah, for any former positions as well which I've held, it's been the same thing: asking a lot of questions and learning really quick.
Mm-hmm. And other. Yeah, because you've been in certain industries and not only one. I wonder if you see a pattern of certain, rules we've been blueprinted in the conventional or traditional business mindset, that you would, if everything would be possible, you just would want to eliminate those rules because they are keeping us, less curious, less, raising smaller questions. So, do you notice any type of these like rules that are keeping us small?
In every organization, small or large, you usually have challenges with communication. And I think the one important thing in everywhere is breaking down the barriers of communication,
Mm-hmm.
blowing off the silos, and getting people to work together. And the we shouldn't have a in-house competition, or have the agendas, personal agendas. All of those have to be opened up and have a candid, open communication throughout the organization. That's the only way to make work better, and the companies more efficient. When it
Mm-hmm.
comes to larger companies, you have structures, you have hierarchies, which are not so stiff in a smaller company, where you work more closer to teams, and then one big team, and sort of I like to use the word community or a family, but that's how it is.
Yeah.
And you need to take
Uh,
people's opinions into consideration and talk a lot. And but then again, as I said, the CEO has to make the decision. So finally, it comes down to the pure fact that the decisions have to be made. And yes, it can be sometimes a lonely place, but as long as you have
mhm.
good colleagues supporting you, it's good.
You can overcome that. Uh, where in your business, maybe, I mean, you feel, and what are the moments you feel that, we as the team, as the leadership team, or as the core team, we speak about something, but then in the back of your head, you know that you guys are lying to yourself. You know how it is sometimes even in a boardroom, or lower in a hierarchy, a team is having certain discussions and taking decisions, but then there is this still, in the back of the head, there is this voice, inner voice saying, is that, are we really, telling that for the telling sake, or are we lying to ourselves? So I just wonder if you experience that awareness once you are in a dialogue with your leadership team, um,
Well,
the inner
again,
voice.
it's all about really open, candid communication. That's the best way to tackle any problems. Uh,
Hmm.
Lying is really unhealthy in many ways. The truth is always
Yeah.
simple. I mean, you start a lie, you need to back it up with another lie, and it's a continuous a spiral which has to be cut off. So I always encourage people to speak up, tell the truth. It's life is much easier that way. When I said about earlier about the agendas, people tend to
Hmm.
build agendas, and this is another thing. That there can be agendas if you want to be a successful business and aiming together towards an agreed goal. You can't really have agendas. So, like I said, we can't have silos. Those have to be opened up. And
Mm.
lying to yourself, that's not a very good thing either. So it's very often it's the best thing to be very direct about things. You can
Yeah,
use some
it
consideration, but usually try to be as open as possible. And
mm,
always, I encourage people to speak up, and if there's anything that is bothering anybody, let's just bring it up and deal with it right away.
mm. Yeah, I think myself, and what I realize as well when I reflect, when working with any size of teams, that um, I mean, it's a difficult question to ask about the lies, and it requires, as you say, yeah, communication, transparency, but as well a type of a depth of connection. I wouldn't even call it trust, but what I see, the teams that are able to really feel comfortable in silence when they do the discussions, even when they go over the measures and look at the progress, whatever progress they're measuring. So there are really few teams who have that level of deep connection where they allow, like one of them allow to raise that question, like where do we lie ourselves now about, and what other type of decisions we could make. Because still many teams, they kind of operate from this how should I call it, from this routine or mechanical or 3D way,
Mm.
from pragmatic, the one we always been doing like this and we continue doing like that. Yes, we are connecting the silos. Yes, we are communicating. Yes, we are having end-to-end accountability, seamlessly working together. We know all these terms, but what I'm looking always for when working with teams and even melting down the barriers, it is that level of depth where they are feeling, even if it is 20 people, they feel good in silence because they know and they can trust their inner leadership and the leadership of them as a collective kind of system or community, because they know that someone will raise a really freaking kind of brave question, and that question will help them to see the reality kind of differently and even bend that reality. So my question would be, what do you think it takes to build a team that has that level of depthness, where silence is okay, where, for example, meeting without agenda during a busy day is as well okay?
In certain situations, that can be very healthy too. It's more about not being out loud, but just listening a little bit more and understanding the deeper means of the business. But I think in today's world where change is constant outside of the companies and require changes inside as well. And if you want to change something in the company or the way you're working, or you want to increase your profitability or increase your ROI, you have to accept that there has to be a change, and it starts with the people. So
Mhm.
if we don't change our way of thinking, nothing will change, and if nothing changes, the end result will not change either. So I think this is very important to understand that personally I like to see progress, and there is
Mhm.
no progress without change. And if there
For
is no
sure.
progress, that means we're not only standing still, we're actually falling back because the world
Mhm.
outside is changing. And for any organization today, we need to be quite agile, react to quick changes, react to pressures from outside, competitive situations. And yeah, I'm just a big fan of open communications.
Oh, I like that. And I believe as well that once there is intention behind that and the habit to make that communication deep and open, it's just a matter of time when, we begin to collect from each other the ways we are and, yeah, and melt into that one community, that type of value. Um, and the other question, which is like coming to my mind, it is knowing the impact you guys want, you are creating, and the one you want, let's say, from your ideas within 5 year time. What type of business, maybe rituals, you would want to strengthen or even like newly introduce into the company to be able, or the mindset to be able to reach that impact?
I'm sorry, could you
Yeah.
repeat
So
or
now we
yeah.
know that within 5 year time, I mean, we have
Yes.
this audacious impact, right? Where there are three
Mhm.
generations, they are in activities and etc.
Sure.
So the question is, what new business practices you would want to see in your company manifesting, and mindset maybe manifesting, that could help you to fulfill that audacious impact?
That's a very good question. I like people to be rather creative and upfront with ideas and share the ideas, because that way we can develop the business, we can develop the opportunities and whatever we're doing, and what we can bring into for the customers or end users. And I think that in many ways, again, this is my thinking of a sort of a triangle, that if you take care of your staff members in the company, they will take care of your customers. And after all, the end users, be that customers, will take care of the business as well. So it's sort of a triangle working together, or in three dimensions. And if we understand and we listen to the customers today, what they expect tomorrow, and then we make that reality, I think that's a way forward. Also, we need to learn from the history. Otherwise, we don't know where we're heading either.
Hmm. So in a
I don't
way,
know if does that make
having
sense to you?
it does, absolutely, it does. I just wonder that normally, I mean, our brain is thinking in a linear ways. That's how we are wired, right? Like, give me the
Yeah.
formula step by step. We wanna, we already envision the end result, but always there is a delay between effort and
Mm.
result. And in that delay, I know myself, and I know from working with many of my client CEOs one on one and with their companies, that this is the moment where, um, especially if they are not involved into the kind of hands-on, right, and the company is bigger. When there is this gap between effort and result, this is where their visionary mind begins to develop new ideas and then new ideas, right? And then they're coming back and putting these ideas, I wouldn't say top down, it wouldn't probably be right, but they're sharing those ideas with teams. And what you spoke now about, what I loved, it is that to make that impact happen in 5 years time, you would want your community, right,
That's
to
right.
share ideas. So I wonder, and that's what I really like. I wonder how then the discipline could look like. Let's just imagine, we are just imagining today, how that discipline could look like in the company, in the community, where everyone who is working for it could share those ideas of creating more value, whatever it is, for end user, for the client, how it could look like in a very simple way that would reach the ears of the ones who can really fulfill those ideas.
We do weekly meetings between the staff members and between different departments, and we share ideas quite often, and then we choose the ones that we want to execute. And you have to remember that you can have 1,000 ideas, but out of those 1,000 ideas, only few are really something that you should get into. And the
Mm-hmm.
biggest challenge is choosing the right ideas, that what you want to do, or what you want to emphasize, and you get the team behind that. But we will not forget the ones that sometimes we actually ask, say, okay, give us the let's award the best idea
Yeah.
and the worst idea. So nobody's holding back. So come up with the worst, craziest idea, and come up with the safest, easiest idea to
Mm-hmm.
start building on, and then we choose them. And I think very important is that in many companies, when you start the path of changing the idea, or you think of converting that into a actually business formula, or a product, you need to see it until the end, all the way till the end. So when you start doing something, make sure you go all the way and do it. Don't leave anything in between, or just drop the thing,
Mm-hmm.
because if you do that, obviously sometimes you have to change due to various reasons that the plans may change, and that's fine. But once you find the idea, or so, let's say a red line, you just need to follow that all the way through. Make sure everybody's behind that, and then that when it comes to the again, when you earlier said if somebody is lying to themselves and saying, "Okay, this is a great idea, but I really don't believe that," that affects the teamwork. So you have to get everybody
Absolutely.
behind that, and then just the execution. And success creates more success. So if that idea turns out to be successful, the whole team will be behind it, and the next idea again. So it's yeah,
Yeah, it's an iterational process.
that's
And
right.
I again, yeah, want to take you back in time because you've been in various industries, and if you could go back in time in your career, in your life, Erkan, could you share with us one significant moment that truly um, made you the person as you are today? And without, let's say, that moment or that event in your life, you know that you wouldn't be who you are, where you are, and etc.
There's been many moments, and there's been some opportunities that I may not have taken on, but there has been some opportunities I have capitalized on, and I think that I started my own business back in 1993 when we were in an economic crisis in Finland and most of Europe as well, and we gradually starting working towards. It was a customer service business, and somebody said, "You're crazy, absolutely crazy, in the midst of recession, starting your own business." And I thought, "Wait a minute, this is not a bad time to start because the times will get better, and if you ride through that sort of valley and get to the growth path, then that's put behind." And we're looking at today. We talk about interest rates, uh, increasing interest rates, but we don't really remember that we've been several years on a very stable market with negative interest rates or zero interest rates. Back in 1993, we were not in euro back then. Our interest
Yeah.
rates were up to 13, 14%. And there were a lot of companies that had taken debt in foreign currencies, and we had a devaluation of the Finnish mark that made the interest rate jump up to 24, 25% overnight. People still survived that. And they had to rethink about their businesses or their operations, refinance them. But I think that was one of those moments that you realize that it's not the end of the world. Let's rethink about this, and let's find a solution, because there are always solutions. And I think I was quite young back then as an entrepreneur,
Hmm.
and that business turned out to be a good business, solid business for 24 years, and after which we sold the business. But yeah, that was a long education there. So actually learning by doing. So you see ups and downs, but I think the most important thing is that you should never give up.
Mm, I love that because I believe as well that giving up is the worst what we can do unless we truly know that we've done everything right. And the last question which I have for you, if you were lying on your deathbed, what three would you want to have achieved in your life, Erkan?
Well, one thing is obviously you want to see the family doing well, and that's you've been a good parent, and I think that would be the most important thing, is that you provided something for the family, some maybe teachings and which they can carry on. I'd like to be able to say that I have no, how would I say, all the relationships that I have are good, and sort of I have peace with all the people that I have met in my life. And I'd like to think that I could have left a little impact on the world and made it a little bit better where I've been doing something and achieved something actually in that way. I think that would be it. It's I'd be happy there.
No, I see all these generations, even in my little village right now, being active. So you are on a very good mission and good impact, Erkan. Well, thank you so much for participating in the CEO World Record. All of your insights were truly practical, down to earth, and there are just so many leaders, and yeah, and communities, people working in it, that could truly benefit of connecting silos and yeah, melting down these boundaries. So loved everything what you mentioned, Erkan. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you very much, Laura. Thank you.